They are not going to meet them. It's you and I that they already have our information with them in their data bank. They are still disturbing. That's all they are doing. Simplify tax compliance. Expanding the tax base by bringing into the tax net more taxpayers. More reliefs to income earners and small businesses. How much is it? They say if you as an individual, if you earn 800,000 in a year, how many people are earning that? So now, the more you earn, the higher tax or more tax you pay. That's the new law now. The more you earn, then more tax you have to pay to government, either to state or federal. It optimizes tax revenue and improves tax administration by introducing digital platform. You see? Now, they said every individual that issue invoice on a monthly basis, even companies that issue invoice on a monthly basis now, Nigeria Revenue Service want to have real-time access to that invoice. Come January 2026, when you issue an invoice, they capture it. And that's why they said every taxpayer should plug into this e-invoicing platform. I don't know, maybe we are aware of that. The thing is, these laws, it's not that they are new. They are not new. This fiscalization policy that every taxpayer, when you issue invoice, then you have to plug into Nigeria Revenue Service platform, e-invoicing platform. Finance Act 2019, if we check it, this digitalization and fiscalization policy was already there, but they've not been, implementing it. But now, because they want to have more people in their tax net, they now wake up now and they say they want to start implementing it. In fact, from 1st of November this year, all large taxpayers, they have already compelled them to plug in. So as they are invoicing their customers, Nigeria Revenue Service is capturing it. So you cannot tell them now from January next year that you file your VAT returns at the end of the month, and probably based on the invoices you issued in January, your total sales for January is maybe 100 million. Now when you are filing your value-added tax returns, 21st February, you now file 90 million. They will send you query immediately. They will send you query and they will give you all the invoices you raised, the invoice number, date of issue the invoice. They will send everything to you. So what now happened to the 10 million? So that's where we are now. They want to have access to everybody. And in that Nigeria Tax Administration Act, there is still a section there that if you fail to plug in, there is going to be penalty for that. 3 years imprisonment. Or we will get there. You will see everything there. So those are the objectives of the new tax law. Then we have I want to take the laws, the various taxes we have under the Nigeria Tax Act, one after the other. Like I told us earlier, we have companies income tax, personal income tax, value-added tax, capital gains tax, and stamp duty under the Nigeria Tax Act. So the changes or the new provisions we have in the Nigeria Tax Act now that make them to look a bit different from what we used to have. Those are the ones we listed in the slide. Like key changes or provisions in company income tax under the Nigeria Tax Act. What are the differences that we have there, or the new provisions that we have that make this new Tax Act a bit different from what we used to have. Section 4, that's the section that talks about the profits that will be subject to tax, income tax. And when you look at the new law, I just put the only new profit that is not in the existing law there. Like prizes, winnings, honoraria, grants, award, laureate. This was not part of the old Company Income Tax Act. So they brought it into the new Nigeria Tax Act now. So if you play Baba Jebu, Lotto, all those bets Niger, before now, they were not part of the profits to be taxed under company's income tax. But now, it's part of it. So, it's not free again. Then section 6, taxation of Nigeria company individuals. This one talks about minimum effective tax rate. I don't think we just need to know, have the knowledge. It's not applicable to us. Before now, multinational enterprises, Nigeria, they are shortchanging Nigerian government. Because, like I told us, Federal Inland Revenue Service, they do not have what it takes to pursue some of these multinational enterprises. They derive income from Nigeria, either through online, or even some of them have permanent establishment in Nigeria, fixed base in Nigeria. Yet, they are shortchanging Nigeria government. They are not paying adequate tax to Nigeria government. But now, Nigeria government, is part of, all this global revenue authority now. So they have a kind of agreement now. Then I said, multinational companies in Nigeria that have subsidiary outside the country, what they do is they will have probably their parent company in Nigeria. Then they will now look at, for any of these countries that are tax haven, they are not paying tax at all or paying tax at very little tax rate. So they will have another branch there. So bulk of the profits they generate from Nigeria, they will be transferring it to that place through management fee. They call it management fee, royalty. Because they will now tell Nigeria government that company there is sending is giving them technical know-how. So they will be paying royalty to them. All the profit they make in Nigeria, they will be using it to pay royalty to that company there. So, but now, they've now said, okay, what is going to happen from January next year is that multinational enterprises that have companies, subsidiary outside Nigeria, all multinational enterprises, they are now expected to file their consolidated account, global account with Nigerian Revenue Service. When they submit it, they will look at it. They will carry out what they call desk review on that account. And now check all their branches outside Nigeria. How much tax have they paid? If the tax company in Mauritius, that is tax haven, if the tax that company paid there is less than 15% minimum effective tax rate. What is minimum effective tax rate? Even for individual, it is the tax paid divided by profits before tax. Like individual now, tax paid by an individual over gross emolument. That's your effective tax rate. You can determine to know how much tax rate is being applied on your income. So, minimum effective tax rate now that they now agreed with is 15%. If the tax that company in Mauritius paid is less than minimum effective tax rate, 15%, then the parent company in Nigeria will have to pay the difference. So there's nothing like you just transfer all the profits to that side. So that's why I say it's not applicable to us here. Then section 56, rate of income tax. For small and medium enterprise that have turnover of 100 million, not 50 million. It's 50 million that is in the law now. But recently we listened to the chairman Presidential Committee on Tax Reform and Fiscal Policy, Taiwo Yedele, he said, actually it's 100 million naira they proposed. But by the time the law was being finalized, there was an error. So it's not 50 million, it's 100 million. If your turnover is 100 million naira and below in a year as a small business, then you are going to pay tax at 0%. You are going to pay tax at 0%. It's 100 million. But there's a caveat there, which I think revenue we have to overlook as time goes on. They said, wait, minimum of 250 million fixed assets. That is, if your turnover is 100 million and your fixed assets, probably just look at it that, you don't need all this big office or invest in office equipment, motor vehicle. You don't need all those things. And you are making your money. But the law says 100 million turnover, wait, 250 million fixed assets. Then you have to pay tax at 0%. That's for corporate entities. Then for individual, when we get to personal income tax, we'll look at that. So that's, then section 20, that's where we have all the deductible expenses. When you want to, as a business owner, individual or corporate, you have your incomes. Like I told us, it's not income. Income is not income that you tax profit. So you have all your income, then all the expenses that you incur to generate that income, you are allowed to deduct them as long as they are tax deductible. What do I mean by tax deductible? They are tax and liable. They are liable for deduction. You can deduct them. So before now, the criterion for making expenses to be deductible, we are told that, in the previous law, when the expense is wholly, necessarily, exclusively, and reasonably incurred in the generation of the income, then you are allowed to deduct it. But in this new law now, the criteria have now been reduced. It's no longer those for wholly, exclusively, necessarily, and reasonably. It's now only wholly and exclusively. So there's nothing like, but the expenses is reasonable. You should be allowed for tax, but nothing like that again. It's only wholly and exclusively. So, section 20, that's a change there. Then we have pre-operational expenses. Before now, all the expenses we incur from the incorporation of a business name or limited liability with the Corporate Affairs Commission. Before you commence the business, they are not allowed to be deducted from the profit. It's a non-deductible expense, but in this new law now, is allowed. All expenses you incur, you engage a lawyer or a secretary to help you to incorporate a business name or a limited liability company with CSA, you pay all manner of expenses, get necessary documents, and by the time you are filing your returns, you are allowed to deduct that from the income to arrive at the taxable profit. So it's part of it now. Then section 34 of the New Nigeria Act talks about chargeable gains. I told us when you dispose of an asset, you are expected to pay a tax called capital gains tax, or you dispose of your share. You ask your stockbroker to dispose certain amount of shares. If that share is up to 150 million, the value of the share disposed is 150 million, and the gains is above 10 million, then you are expected to subject it to capital gains tax. Before now, the rate is 10%, but it has increased now to 30%. So capital gains tax now has the same rate with companies' income tax. And now, what it means is you can bring it in under when you are computing your company's income tax. You know, when you are computing company income tax, you have the profit before tax, you add back all the non-deductible expenses, depreciation, all those ones, you deduct them. Then income that are not taxable under company income tax, you back them out. Then you arrive at your assessable profit. So when you have your assessable profits now, before you consider your capital allowance, you less it. Or if you have losses you have been bringing forward, before you less those things from your assessable profits, you can bring in your capital gains, chargeable gains, so that you will still enjoy the deduction of capital allowances and losses, if any. Because the rate is now 30%. It's no longer 10%. So you can either bring it in here, the chargeable gains. How do you arrive at the chargeable gain? The historical cost of the share you are disposing, or the assets you are disposing, you get it. Then all the other expenses you incur, why this way, probably you pay your stockbroker and you engage a lawyer to do one or two things for you. You are allowed to deduct all those expenses. Then you arrive at your chargeable gain. The chargeable gain can be brought under company's income tax computation. Then you still less capital allowance. So that one too is part of the changes in Nigeria Tax Act now. Share transfer between an approved, these are exempted from capital gains tax. Share transfer between an approved borrower or lender in a regulated security lending transaction is exempted from capital gains tax. Share proceed reinvested. The 150 million naira value of the share disposed. The law says if you reinvest that amount to purchase share in Nigerian company, again, that same 12 months, 1 year, then it will not, even if it is 200 million, 300 million, if you reinvest the excess, it will be free from capital gains tax. Yes. Then share compensation for loss of office in the sum not exceeding 50 million shall not be taxable. Before now, when you are, God forbid, if, assuming you are asked to, or you are relieved of your job, and you paid what they cost, probably severance allowance or compensation for loss of job, and the amount before now is, I think if it was up to 20 million, it will be exempted from capital gains tax. But anything in excess of 20 million, we have to be subject to capital gains tax. But now, the threshold has been increased to 50 million. Now, that will not be taxable under capital gains tax. Then, section 39 and 40 is still the capital gains tax. It's talking about the new rates now. 30%, no longer 10%. So, then we have first schedule to Nigeria Tax Act. Just like we have first schedule to Company Income Tax Act before, which talks about capital allowance. Capital allowance is the allowance you are allowed as a taxpayer, corporate or individual, to deduct from your assessable profit in lieu of depreciation that you charge. You know, when you acquire any asset for use in your business, you are expected to depreciate the assets over a period of time. But because the depreciation rates most companies or taxpayers adopt, they are not uniform. Government now said depreciation should not be allowed for tax purpose, as a deduction for tax purpose. What I will do is, you can charge whatever rates you like as taxpayer. If you like, charge 50% depreciation on your motor vehicle. Depreciate it within 2 years. No problem. Use it to reduce your profit. you are coming back to the government. When you file your returns, that depreciation of whatever amount or rate you use, government will add it back to the profit and tax it. But in lieu of that, they still allow you to claim what they call capital allowance. So capital allowance rate is uniform. That's government rate. So now we used to have investment allowance. That's when you invest in acquisition of plant and machinery to be used in your business, you are allowed to claim 10% investment allowance. It's one-off allowance. If the asset is to be depreciated over 4 years, you only claim it the first year. Second year, you are not allowed to claim it. But now, in this new law, there's nothing like investment allowance again. Before now, there's also what we call initial allowance. After investment allowance, you are still allowed to claim initial allowance, then annual allowance. 3 different allowances on the same asset. But now it's only one you are allowed to claim. They call it annual allowance. Initial allowance and investment allowance, you are no longer allowed to claim it. So you are only allowed to claim annual allowance. So we should bear that in mind. Individual too, employer of labor, when we want to file personal income tax returns with State Internal Revenue Service, you are allowed to claim, if you invest in asset, you are allowed to claim capital allowance too. Because you depreciate the asset. Then that depreciation will be added back to your income. Then you now claim capital allowance. You can claim too. So that is the change in that company income tax section. Then we have section 125 too, under the Nigeria Tax Act now, which talks about stamp duty. Duty paid on agreement. Some people have been a lot of people don't know much about this stamp duty. They thought it's not new. It has been existing even before now. So stamp duty now, you see that if you are conversant with these revenue letters, when they carry out an audit or investigation on a taxpayer, when they send their query or their audit findings, you see it there now as part of their findings, stamp duty. They will check all your records, and when they see any agreement you entered into, they ask you to pay stamp duty on it. So, stamp duty, we have exemption. It's not all the agreements that are to be subject to stamp duty. Number 1, we have duty on property value, of which is less than 10 million. If the value of the property is not up to, or is 10 million naira below, then is exempted from stamp duty. Then rent agreement, you pay stamp duty on rent agreement. If we have not been paying it before, don't be surprised. Revenue may come and knock on your door this time around, that you have to pay stamp duty on the rent agreement. So rent annual value not up to 1 million naira is still exempted from stamp duty. All agreement value not up to 1 million, there's no stamp duty on them. Agreements relating to hire of labor, contract of labor, or contract of employment is exempted from stamp duty. Agreement related to sales of goods, wares, or merchandise, there is no stamp duty on that too. So, then we now move to section 163, incomes and profits that are exempted from companies' income tax. I'm sure some of us are familiar with all these things before now. They will say religious organizations, churches, mosques, they are exempted from companies' income tax. It's still the same thing. Profit or income accrued to the following organizations are exempted from companies' income tax, except those that accrue from business carried on by such organizations. You discover that most of the churches nowadays have businesses. Those businesses are not exempted from companies' income tax. See, they don't call it church again. They call it ministries, commissions, so that it allows them to have various businesses. All those businesses are to be subject to company income tax, except the income they generate is less than 100 million. That's when there will be no tax. But if they have businesses, they do. It's only offering and tithe that come under this exemption. So, statutory or register-friendly society is the same way we have it under companies income tax. Register cooperative society, all cooperative society, whether, what do they call them? Their money, the contribution by members is exempted from companies income tax. Educational, religious, charitable activities, they are still exempted from companies income tax. Dividend or rental income received by a real estate investment. That's why you see people are, dabbling into this type of businesses now. Is all over, because the income generated by them, real estate investment income, they are exempted from companies income tax. Also, redundancy, lump sum payments, and other computation of capital nature for loss of employment. We talk about that one, not exceeding 50 million, is exempted from income tax. This, before now, is not supposed to come under company income tax, but like I told us, capital gains tax and company income tax have the same rate now, so they are together now. You don't separate capital gains tax from companies income tax again. That's why you see it still, reflect under companies income tax, incomes exempted from company income tax. The income earned from bond issued by state or federal government of Nigeria is exempted from tax. Before now, when you see bond, you see treasury bill. They are always together. Income earned from treasury bill or bond. But now, treasury bill is taxable. You are expected to deduct withholding tax, whether issued by the federal government or state government. There is withholding tax on treasury bill interest now. Of course, withholding tax is not a separate tax, it's still your income tax. It's just that it's being deducted at source. So, bond issued by a state or federal government is exempted from income tax. Then income generated by agribusiness within the first 5 years. All our SMEs that are into agribusiness, their income is exempted, either into livestock or plantation, crop plantation. Income for the first 5 years of commencement of that business is tax-free. So, dividend, interest, rent, royalty derived from outside Nigeria and brought through the approved channel, that's through CBN, they are exempted from income tax too. So, those are the new provisions in this Nigerian Tax Act that are not in the whole company's income tax. Then, the second tax we have under the Nigeria Tax Act is personal income tax. Personal income tax, that's tax on income of individuals. Individuals, that is a business owner. You have a business, be it business name, enterprise, Oni and Son. Their income are to be taxed under personal income tax. And personal income tax is being administered by state's internal revenue service where you are located, resident. If you are resident in Oyo State, at the end of the month or at the end of the year for business owner, you are expected to file your returns with Oyo State Internal Revenue Service. The law says 3 months after your year end, January to December 2025, on or before 31st March next year, as individuals, business owner, you are expected to file your income tax returns with Oyo State Internal Revenue Service if you are resident in Oyo State. If you are resident in Ogun State, and there is principle of residency too. The law says, for you to know where you are resident, for some of us that have multiple places of residence, you live in Ibadan, but you work in Lagos. How do you know where to pay your tax? The law says where you are resident, if you are in a place for a minimum of 183 days in a year, that's to be your principal place of residence. That's what the law says. So there's no ambiguity. You will know where to pay your tax to. If you work in Lagos, but you live in Ibadan, where you live is where you pay your tax to. And if you're, as individuals, if the income in a year is not up to 1 million naira, your income will not be subject to tax, or will be subject to tax at 0%. So the new provision, you see, I told us all these things, it's not that they are new, but the tax authority have not been implementing it before. Like Section 4, subsection 2 of Nigeria Tax Act talks about benefit in kind for individuals. It has always been in the law. If, assuming you are working in an organization, your employer gives you an official car, the law says the employer should determine 5% of the cost of that asset, that official car, and add it to your income and tax it accordingly. I'm working with Baker Tilly. They give me an official car. 5% of the cost of that car should be added to me because I'm enjoying it. That's what the law says. It has been in the law. But now, all revenue, I'm sure now that the thing now, they will make sure that this thing is being implemented now. So that's for individual personal income tax, benefit in kind, Section 4. You will see now, by the time you file your returns, they will ask you, don't you have a car? Don't your employers rent an apartment for you? So the law says if your employer rent an apartment for you that you live in, the rent paid for that apartment should be added to your income and tax. If the rent paid for that, like we did this presentation for one of our clients, they are in Lagos, in VI. The MD said, you need to hear some of the questions they are asking. So the MD said, so if assuming I rent an apartment of about 120 million naira in Lekki now, or for one of my, so are you saying that 120 million should be, the law is the law. He said it should be added to his income and taxed. For rent is different from official car. Rent is the actual that you add to the income of the employee and taxed accordingly. But for official car, it's 5% of the cost of the car that will be added. So that's Section 4. Then we move on to another section that is introduced now is Section 30. This Section 30 talks about deductible reliefs that you enjoy as individual, be it salary earners or business owner. You want to file your returns. When you bring in your total income for the year, I told us the other time, for corporate entity, there are some expenses that are tax allowable that you need to deduct, so that it's not all the income that will be subject to tax. So for individual too, there are certain allowances or reliefs that you are expected to enjoy in line with the provisions of the law. And one of them is National Housing Fund. If your employer deducts certain percentage of your salary every month and they remit it, if they tell you that they deduct, ensure they remit it. Ensure they remit it to the relevant regulatory authority. Otherwise, if it's not remitted, they are just shortchanging you. They deduct it, they don't remit it. So National Housing Fund is allowable to be deducted. National Health Insurance Scheme. If the employer deducts National Health Insurance Scheme from your salary every month and they remit it to all these HMOs, then you can use it to reduce your taxable income. There is difference between group medical or group life assurance or group medical insurance. Group medical insurance does not come here. You can't use that. But the one that is deducted from individual employee and remit, that's the one that you can use to reduce your taxable income. Then employee contribution to pension, not employer. Employee contribution to pension too. Every month, you can use it to reduce your taxable. Interest on loan for developing an owner-occupied house. Assuming you take a loan, mortgage loan from any of these mortgage banks to build a house, the interest you pay to service that loan, you can use it to reduce your taxable income. Just let your employer know that I took loan from a mortgage bank, and I'm paying this interest every month. Then you give them the document. They will be deducting it from your salary. Use it to reduce your taxable income. So insurance premium on life of an employee or his or her spouse, if you contribute to life assurance, you can use it to reduce your taxable income too. Either you or your wife or your husband. If I work with Bekatili and my wife is contributing to life assurance, I can use our life assurance premium to reduce my taxable pay. It is the law that says it. Then there is this new one, rent relief. This is where we have issue. This one is new. Before now, what we used to have is consolidated relief allowance. That's, the law says 20% of your gross emolument per annum plus 200,000 naira or 1% of your gross emolument, whichever is higher, should be deducted from your income. But now that has been repealed. It's no longer there. So it's now replaced with rent. This is where we have issues. The law says 20% of your rent per annum should be allowed as a deduction from your income now. 20% of your income per annum, of your rent per annum, or 500,000 naira, whichever is lower. So if your rent per annum is 1 million naira, 20% of it, that's 200,000. That's 200. It's 200,000 that will be allowed to be deducted now. And now the question people have been asking is, okay, if I'm living in my own house, does it mean I'm not going to enjoy this? We don't know what the revenue will do in January. So probably it's only people that have proof that they pay rent that they will allow to be enjoying this, or they will be magnanimous to allow every taxpayer maybe to be enjoying 500,000. We don't know. So until January, then the graduated tax rates too have changed. Before now, when you have your taxable income, you apply these rates to it to know how much tax you will pay. Before now, we have first 300,000, 7%. Next 300,000, 11%. Next 500,000, 15%. Next 500,000, 18%. Then next 1.6, that's 21%. Then above 3.2, 24%. It has changed now. I told us the first 800,000, that's because of minimum wage earners, 70,000 per month, thereabout. The thing is, we have a computation that we did. We've run this thing. Even if your income per month is 100,000, 120,000, you are still not going to pay tax. you are still not going to pay tax, because if you remove, unless you are not contributing to all these reliefs we mentioned, other pension, rent, NHF, if you don't have for any of those things, then that's when people that earn like 100,000 per month will pay something. So it's now first 800,000, 0%, next 2.2, 50%, next 9 million, 80%. So when you compute the tax, personal income tax with this graduated rate, you discover that it's only people that earn like from 15 million to 20 million per annum that will be paying more tax now. People between 800 million to 10, 12 million, their tax will be so low. Or some of them don't pay anything at all. But from 15 million, 20 million and above per annum, they will be paying more tax. So they are the one that will be paying more tax now. So that's that on personal income tax. If you have questions, please, if there's anything that you don't understand, you are free to ask, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Or I should okay, later. Then we have value-added tax. I told us value-added tax is tax on consumption. When you supply goods or you provide service, for some of us that are service providers, the law says when you are invoicing your customer, you are to charge value-added tax. And when you purchase too, when you purchase or you enjoy service of others, when they are invoicing you, they include VAT in their invoice, and you pay. Before now, it's only companies that are into manufacturing and trading, and possibly some of these construction companies that enjoy what we call input value-added tax claim, because the input is based on the raw materials you purchase in the production of your hair, or when you are trading, the stock in trade, the input on the stock in trade. When you are filing your VAT returns to the revenue, you have your output VAT, then you are allowed to deduct your input VAT that you pay to reduce your output, and you just pay VAT on excess. But now, I'm just telling us the only change in value-added tax now is that the rate is still the same, 7.5% that you charge or you pay. But now, every organization or individual can now claim input VAT. Now, everybody can claim input VAT now. Be it banks, insurance company, even we, Bekatile, before now, we cannot claim input. All the inputs we pay, we are expected to expense them in our income statement. That's profit and loss account. That's what the law says. But now, we can claim it. But now, what I want to tell us is, you have to to get all the necessary documents. Because revenue, you cannot just go to them that you want to claim this. They will tell you, provide proof. So, when you pay VAT on NEPA, PHC, electricity, you pay. Yes, you can claim it now. You can claim. Even before now, manufacturing companies cannot still claim input on overhead. They expense it. It's only on their raw material they import or they purchase locally that they can claim input VAT. But now they can claim input VAT on all, be it overhead expense, anything. But you have to get all the necessary documents. Make sure you get them ready. Because revenue, they don't want taxpayers to enjoy anything. But they want to take everything from you. So they will ask you, where is the document to support it? So supporting documents is very, very key. Once you get it, they can't do anything. They allow you to claim it. So that's the only, I think, on value-added tax, that's the only, new provision there now. Then, we've talked about capital gains tax. So we move on to, if we have questions on Nigeria Tax Act, this is the computation we did. We have the old, this based on old rate. Then we have another one based on new rate. So when you look at it, maybe the first 4 lines of the table, the old rate tax payable is higher than the new rate. So you see that it's only people on 20 million, 25 million, 50 million and above that pay higher tax now. If you can try it. You can try it. So is where we may have issue is the rent allowance. We don't know what revenue will do. Revenue, they don't want taxpayers to enjoy anything. So whether they will be insistent now that you must provide proof that you pay rent before you can enjoy that relief. So we have to prepare in January. I'm sure that's where they wait for taxpayer. Okay, where is the proof that you pay rent, that you want to claim rent allowance? But we'll wait for them. So that's all we have on Nigeria Tax Act. If we have questions, let us ask. Before we move on to Nigeria Tax Administration Act. Yes, sir.
Hello. Good evening. I have some questions to ask.
Yes, sir.
Now, the first one, why should pensioners be taxed?
Pensioners?
Yes.
Pensioners, there's nothing like pensions.
No. As at 2 months back, we had a meeting in the office
with
the pensioners. And the people that came told us that come January 1st, they're going to start taxing the pensioners. Well, I don't believe it, but there is nothing that cannot happen. So well. Then the second question.
We all have access to the law. I don't see it where they said pensions will be subject to personal income tax.
The second question is this.
Because I'm sorry, if you see those reliefs, there are 5 or 6 specific relief. The law is very specific. NHF, pension, life assurance, interest on owners occupied apartment, then rent, 20% of your rent. So, and gratuity. Why gratuity is not mentioned here is we all know that nobody collects gratuity while in service. It's a post-employment gratuity. Those things are not taxable.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
Then the second one, I started buying shares long ago. But then I wanted to dispose of some of the shares.
Okay, sir.
And I was told that the shares have spent more than 10 years. Blah, 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 blah. So the tax or the percentage they told me to pay went higher. This for Lagos State. Lagos State.
They tax your share.
For a certain amount of shares that you have, if you do not operate it within 10 years.
Yes.
Within 10 years. So, but you see, the thing is, all this information.
No, there is a provision in this last Finance Act during Buhari. The last Finance Act Buhari issued that says all there's a word they use, investments that are dormant. All dormant investment, we have to be taken over by government for certain number of years. Yes. Probably that's what happened.
10 years.
Yes.
Now, the third one, which is a sad case.
Okay, sir.
Now, most pensioners, once they receive their gratuity, blah, 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 they put it as treasury bills.
Yes.
Those days.
Those days.
Most people are surviving on treasury bills. Until one day, some of us went to the bank. Hey, what's going on with my treasury bills? They said they changed it to 0.008%. It crashed. A lot of people had problems.
Yes.
Some fainted. Some had high blood pressure. But I don't think the government should do that just overnight without giving people prior notice. Assuming you didn't have anything to back up or anything for the rainy day, what's going to happen? I know that it is governmental.
Yes, it's government.
Not even 1%, 0.008%. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. And now they are discouraging people from investing in treasury bill, because treasury bill now is taxable. Yes, before now we used to interest on treasury bill. We used to use it to reduce tax payable because it's tax deductible. Hey, when you have your income or profit before tax, you had back all expenses that are not tax deductible. You now back out all income that are not taxable. Frank investment income, that's dividend, number one. Then number two, interest on dumb account. If you have dumb account, that one is still tax exempt. Then number three, interest on treasury bills. Those are the incomes that are not taxable before now. But now, they said treasury bill should be taxed. Withholding tax, 10%. So, that's why I said all these, they are just shouting, small and medium, they are not paying. They know where they are going. The benefits are not as much as the penalties for not doing the right thing. Okay, you say small and medium businesses, they are tax exempt if their turnover is less than, is 100 million and below. But revenue expect every business to register with them. We are coming to that under Nigeria Tax Administration Act. So if you don't know that you are supposed to register that business, because one professor came to our office during the week. She has an event center in Ilesha. She said, why do I have to pay? Because she did not register the thing with the revenue on Tax Pro Max. We don't know how they got to know the information. Maybe she wanted tax clearance some times ago. Somebody now put, they generated the taxpayers' identification number. They put it on Tax Pro Max. The woman did not know. So, Tax Pro Max, and the way they configure that thing, if you are supposed to file returns this month, you don't file. By next month, even if the tax you are supposed to pay is zero, the penalty will be like 3 or 4 times the principal, interest and penalty. That's what they are doing. So now, even your profit or your income is at 0%. The law says you should register with either State Internal Revenue Service or Nigerian Revenue Service. Register, get your taxpayer's ID. Taxpayer's ID, get it. So, if you don't register now, there is a penalty under this new. So, let's go to Nigeria Tax Administration Act. Any other question under Nigeria Tax Act?
Thank you very much, sir. We've been trying. I want to find out 2 things quickly. Number one is the TIN you just mentioned now. What is the penalty if we don't have anyone? It's possible. Okay, that's number one. Number 2 is that I have heard that this new policy will favor a lot of people that are not earning as much as they expected. But along the line, we have seen a lot of discrepancies, because now I heard through a very impeccable source, which says that every individual also must have the tax people that will be able to help them through. If not, we will be penalized, as we are just saying. How do we scale through these orders? Because I know Nigerian government, by the time they want to start implementing their shows, they just come enforcing. And they will tell you they've been informed a long time ago. No enlightenment, no campaign, no orientation anywhere. It's just that we heard that this will take place. And that's the way they run their things. And it's not only in tax that it has affected. Even in education, they will just come. Overnight, they came, they changed the children's curriculum and told the children, you are not going to do this subject this year. And you are not writing it. Why did that? Thank God for very good people who are very conscientious in the way they think They went to Senate and told the senators, this is not fair. This cannot start this year because it will affect all the candidates and you want them to fail. Now they've called them to order that it must not start this year. It must start in 2028. So it will be for those who are in SS1 now. They would have practiced the 2 years before they come into the examination period. So how do we manage through this ordeal? I know Nigerian system, it is always they want things to be done just anyhow.
Thank you, sir. The thing is, like I told us at the beginning of this thing, that ignorance of the law is not an excuse. If, like all these things we are saying, we organized this presentation for Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, Oyo State chapter, recently. And the chairman called me after he said, my brother, I'm equally a chartered accountant. Oh. You see the kind of question my people were asking. Consultants, they will make money from this thing. Oh. Please, how do I get registered as a consultant too? I said, okay, no problem. I will help you out. The thing is, for us to not to fall prey of all these things, you need to look for a consultant, a tax consultant that will be educating you, that will be telling you and showing you how to go about this thing. That's the only way to go about it. You cannot do it yourself. If I tell you now, like I omitted something under this Nigeria tax development levy. Before now, we used to have what they call education tax. Some of us that are in corporate this thing, 3%, if it's a big company, 3% of your accessible profit. But now there is nothing like education tax again. We used to have NASENI. Those that are into all this engineering, IT, they pay NASENI. I think 1% or 0% of their profit before tax. Then police trust fund was introduced like 3 or 4 years ago. So all those multiple these things, they are no longer there. It's now development levy, 4% development levy on your accessible profit. If I ask you now, do you know what is accessible profit? You don't know. And if I begin to teach you from now till next year, you will still be asking questions you don't understand. So that's why I say it's better, it's wisdom, you look for a tax consultant. Not even an accountant. It's not all accountants that know tax. We have professor of tax. We have fellow of Chartered Institute of accountant of that don't know tax. If you don't know tax, you don't know. If you don't practice tax, that's it. That's why I told us that it's law. So look for a tax consultant that will be advising you, that will be telling you, that will be doing all these things on your behalf. Like I told us, you mentioned now, under this Nigeria tax, and you see, every individual, every taxpayer, by January now, we are supposed to have our taxpayer identification number. Before now, it's only corporate entities that used to get taxpayers identification number. And it's only Federal Land Revenue Service that generates it. I think when Tunde Fowler was the chairman of Federal Land Revenue Service, he tried to introduce this harmonized joint tax board, harmonized thing. It did not work. That all state internal revenue service too must be issuing or generating taxpayers. So it's only Federal Land Revenue Service that generates thing. Some states, like Lagos State, what they do is they generate taxpayers ID. I have my card. Taxpayers ID. So with that taxpayer ID, you know the ETCC they issue in Lagos is just one card like this. And on the face of the card, nobody can know how much tax you have paid. So it's that taxpayer's ID. Once you use it to log into their platform, it will bring all the taxes you have been paying since 1999 that they started this e-tax. Lagos State, they are very, very, in fact, it's only Lagos State. Or your state, rubbish. Fortunately, it's my state. Rubbish. They do not have data ban. They just do whatever they like. Ogun State is still trying. They copy Lagos. They have payers ID. But Lagos State has payers ID. Anywhere you go to the embassy, they say, let's see your ETCC. You give them the card. they will not, the card shows that you are a taxpayer. But how much tax you paid, they will not know until you present your taxpayer's ID to them. They log in, it will show all taxes you have paid. So every individual, every business owner, we are expected to get your taxpayer's identification number come January. If you are a limited liability company, you go to Nigeria Revenue Service. They will generate it for you. It's free. It's free. If you are individual, business owner, enterprise, you go to state. That's where you file your returns. It's only limited liability companies, PSC, that have their file with Federal Revenue Service, Nigeria Revenue Service. So come Nigeria, you never can tell. Like now they said banks should be asking for taxpayers' ID before you transfer any business with the bank. We are told recently by Taiwo Yedele that individuals are exempted. You never can tell. They can still come up tomorrow. In Lagos State, there was a time schools were asking students to tell their parents to come with their evidence of tax, TCC. So you never can tell. This one they are doing now is the same Tinubu then in Lagos that is at the federal that bring this one now. So you need to go and get that tax ID. And thank God they said the way they want to make it easy now for everybody. There is a way they want to make it now. They want to do it. Your NIN will now suffice as your taxpayer's ID. But you still need to go to them. It's not that because you have NIN, you already have tax ID. You need to go to them to validate it. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. It's quite unfortunate many people are not here today. And the importance of this seminar cut across every stratum. Because by January 1, it is not whether, I don't know. There is no ignorance in law. When police arrest you and you say, I'm sorry, I did not know, you are chargeable. The question now is whether you are raising 50 beds, whether you are a teacher, whether you are a lesson teacher, whether you are a fashion designer, whatever be the level of your skill, you will discover that by January 1, your TIN number might be asked for, whether in the bank. So definitely we are now, maybe I would crave your indulgence. I'll get the hard copy of this lecture. The hard copy, I'll go to the extent of making a photocopy for our members, so that they will still have opportunity to go through it. But like you said, everyone here, whether we like it or not, we have to have a tax consultant. Whatever business you are doing, you might be exempted. I have an experience. I had a liability company, and I refused to, even though it was not taxable, the business I'm doing. It's an agricultural business. But I was asked to pay about 5-point-something million because of withholding. What do they file? It's zero tax. The only leeway I have is to disband the company completely. That is it. I canceled the company and I said, I think they must have removed it from CSC. But most of us are doing business less than 20 million, 15 million. Let's say we can even hide under 100 million. That means we are going to state government. The question I'm going to ask, it is the turnover, the income. what I know, if it is limited, you go to federal inland revenue. If it is enterprise, majority of us are enterprise owners. State, so definitely, I know a lot of people that even they have opportunity of higher money. They have opportunity of generating high revenue rather than going through limited liability. They split their business into small enterprise. That's what people do. But whether we like it or not, even if you are preparing puff and tibeki, and the money goes through an account, that means there will be record of payments. And by the time they ask you to come, they will invite you to inland revenue or whichever way. You have to explain the source of the income. For some of us that are politically biased, even if you are in US, the greatest crime you can commit is to evade tax. Majority of our billionaires in Nigeria, they are not paying one kobo. We know people that have houses worth 10 billion in Ikoyi, yet they are not paying 500,000 tax. Whether we like it or not, this income tax law, I must tell you, if we have good leadership, it will enhance the revenue profile of the country, and if the management is well done, it will be better for all of us. It's not a punishing act. The government will be able to tap into a lot of resources. There are some countries, they don't have mineral resources. They are into tourism. But the tax that they get is what they use to develop their country. In Nigeria, we have billions that are wasting away. I mean, let me give you an example. I have somebody that wanted Obasanjo to come to his party. And he sent $20,000 to Obasanjo. He's my in-law, my brother-in-law. 30 million naira. $20,000. For Obasanjo to fly in from Kigali to just come and attend the party. And for every Oba that comes, when you are sending an invitation to Oba, you are sending the money for fuel. Maybe it's 1 million. I don't know whether I'm communicating. All this money are not documented. So we should not look at government as our enemy, I'm telling you. What they are doing for now, we are going to reap the benefits later. Am I communicating? But if you are not law compliant, I must confess to you, there will be problems. Even though we are going to create money avenue for consultants, but even abroad, salary earners have their own tax consultant. It's not too much money. It depends on the size of your business, the level of the income that is coming in. That is how they will charge you. So please, it's an opportunity for those that are here that we have learned so much tonight. We may not be able to digest the totality of it, but at the end of the day, things will be better. My question now is, if I now go to Oyo State government, revenue service, definitely they will generate 10 for me. Is that it, sir? No, not for business alone, no. Individual. Free.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
And the question is, how will the government be able to know the amount of my income that is taxable? I generate all my incomes through the bank, or they pay me cash and I deposit it into bank. And for instance, I run a fleet of cars in my haulage business. I run about 3 cars there. When I do my repair with my mechanic, will the mechanic give me receipts for the job done? mechanics bill can run up to 100,000 at times. They won't give you a single invoice for it. So how do I make such claim to deduct so that they will know this cost is cost of doing business? And they won't see that they won't see that in my account. They will only see the income. And if I say this is an expenditure, they will say, give us proof of the expenditure. And the mechanic will not give me any any receipt for the workmanship he has charged me. So how are they going to synchronize that? Because if that is the case, many people will actually run away from the government will listen me. They don't want to take my money for taking its sake.
Thank you, sir. Daddy, thank you for that enlightenment. Sir, you need to, I'm sorry we are in the church. I always tell my clients, you see, revenue, they rely solely on documentary evidence. And the funniest thing, I don't know, maybe some of us know where they call Oluwole in Lagos. What do they do there, sir? Whether you go to Oluwole to get the receipt, revenue will not make extra effort to go and verify. They so much rely on, once you say, I have document for my, they say, okay. You understand? But verbal explanation does not hold water. So that mechanic, tell them you can do receipt yourself. Mechanic, put it there. Let it open a file for it. That's the only way. And you ask, how will the revenue know how much you generate? Federal Inland Revenue Service, now Nigeria Revenue Service, they have what they call data mining software. It was during this woman's time as the chairman Federal Revenue Service. This Edo woman, Ofueko. That woman's engaged this McKinsey. They gave them software that there's nobody, unless they don't want to tell you. If they ask you to provide your bank statement, you don't provide it. They already have it. They will just be laughing. I don't want to mention, there is a big name in this Ibadan. We had a meeting with this tax controller, Adeoyo Tax. She's my sister, Mrs. Awe. We told, there is this big company, this Femi Johnson something, it's a big, the woman asked the staff that did that software, the IT guy, he brought his laptop, live, the bank statement of that company, all the money that came in from UK to their account, they were showing us line by line. So date. This money, what is it for? I said, it's not me that handle the account, madam. Let me go and check. I have to go and meet my boss in the office, that's the engagement partner. He said, yes, now it's the share. I told you that they share. They sold. So, that's the money. As they were paying it into the account, I said, okay, no problem. It's the share, and we have paid capital gains tax on it. So I went back to the woman. I did a letter, explained in the letter, this money was for shared, sold, and that's resolved. So they have, unless your money doesn't pass through bank. I'm telling you, you can't lie. They may not get it 100%, but they have access to your bank. They will, if they ask you, please give us your bank statement, you say, I don't have that. There is one man, MD, Food Co. He's like, the man said he has one, apart from Food Co, he has one other side businesses. He wants us to do what? No, to get process tax clearance certificate for him. He wants to use it. We say, okay, Sebi, you've not commenced business. He said, yeah, I know, I've not commenced business. Okay, no problem. We send application to FRS for FRS now say, okay, they've not commenced business. Okay, no problem. We'll get back to you. What did they do? They asked you to come. No, they asked you to come to their office. They now said, okay, it's easier for us if client said he has not commenced business. TCC, in fact, under 2 days, we'll get tax clearance for you. What we do is we'll tell you, quickly go and open an account so that account will show that, okay, you just want to comment. It will reflect there that is 000 income. Do you understand? So we asked the man to go and open immediately he opened an account, he sent it to us, bank statement 0000. Okay. When we send the application to FRS and they check. They call him that he should come. He said, please tell your client to give us Wema Bank statement. I said, they don't have Wema Bank. It's only, they said, tell them to give us Wema Bank statement. Okay, I called the MD that, the financial controller. They said the bank, Wema Bank. He said, I'm not aware, but let me find out. The man could not call me first day, second day, third day. Later, I called him, what's going on? Are you not interested in getting TCC again? He said, my brother, what happened is, honestly, I didn't know that they have Wema Bank. I said, please, if they have, send it to us now. There's no problem. Let me see now. By the time he sent the Wema Bank statement, in fact, they've been making money since 2018. This is 2025, and they said they've not commenced business. 60 million, 30 million, 40 million. And I wrote a long list, a copy all my organs that, please, with this, you need to engage our firm to prepare financial accounts. Audited financial statement for those years. Because the way, with this bank statement, it shows you have commenced business long time ago. So for all those years, we will compute tax and you pay. Since that time, he has not got back to me. Today. So you cannot hide anything from this guy. In fact, it's little or nothing you can hide for them. Honestly, they have what it takes to get, unless they don't want to. All those politicians you are talking about, unless they don't have bank, they know them. They are settling them their way. I'm telling you. They know if they want all the politicians to be paying tax, they know what to do. But they settle them. They have access to their accounts. FRS. They have access to their accounts. They call it data mining software. They have it. So I hope the question has been answered, sir. Get document. Whether it's from, I'm not teaching you bad things. Whether it's Oluwole document or not. Get document. That's the only thing you can use to, you understand, get your way from this guy. And like I told you, they will not go and find out. It's police that will say, where did you get this document from? We have to verify. FRS, once they see it, they just keep it in the file. They won't verify. Yes, sir.
Which one will be better? For you to operate an enterprise or to operate as a single individual doing your business? Doing it on Musala and Soye than doing it on Avila and Goshen?
No, whether you
have
do,
Avila and Goshen business concept
whether you do
and you now stand alone,
Olagun Soye's and son, or Olagun Soye Ventures, Olagun Soye Enterprise, Olagun Soye alone, it's still a one-man business and it's taxable under state. You understand? So long as, and you still have obligation to FRS. Don't let us deceive ourselves. Value-added tax. It's FRS that collect value-added tax. Whether you are individual pay value-added tax, Abi, and you charge. If you issue invoice, you are a consultant. It's only me now. I'm a tax consultant. You still need to register with FRS because of value-added tax obligation. You understand?
You are not going to pay anything. Just go and get your thing for that company. So, if you don't get thing from FRS, I'm telling you, state, they cannot do anything. They will ask for your thing. So, the thing you have, then you file your name. Then you don't need to submit the account with the FRS. You just file with the state. So you are not filing with them. But only thing that you are eligible to do there is just to file your VAT.
Value-added tax obligation is to FRS. So you file your VAT as individual, as enterprise, as limited liability company, you still file your value-added tax returns with Federal Revenue Service. And that's why you need to register with both revenue authority.
Sir, I believe in agricultural sector.
Yes, sir.
You say if one is engaged in agricultural sector for the next 5 years,
yes,
is exempted from paying.
Before now, there's what we call pioneer status. If you are starting a business that produces anything that has not been in existence before, you are allowed to be, you are going to be given a tax holiday for 5 years. Not 5 years the first 2 years. Then you apply for another 3 years extension. So it's the same thing now. But they don't call it pioneer status again in this new law. They call them priority sector. So like agriculture. The first 5 years, you are exempt. But the fact that you are exempted does not mean that you will not register the business.
So you will still register with
You must register.
Even if it is enterprise.
Enterprise, you must register.
And you have to do the monthly.
Yes, because we all pray that the business will grow. Even if the business is just making 20 million now. Of course, you pray that it will grow. So you need to register your business with FRS because of value-added tax obligation, whether it's enterprise.
But what I'm saying is that let us assume I produce 20 chicken and I sell it outside. To people I'm selling to, I don't think that agricultural product is taxable.
No, it's not.
It's not. So, but I must register.
You must register. Do you know why? These guys, if you don't register, it's when you register with them that they will know that you are not supposed to pay tax. They are not magicians. You can't just be saying, no, my business is, I don't need to, it's just 1 million naira I'm making. How will they know? If they are making more than that, they will not know until you register with them. You are filing returns. Just be filing nil, like my colleague said. Just be filing nil. Because the thing is, the day you register, if you don't, you just they say we should register. After all, they know I've registered, and they know that tax promise that day where you register. In fact, since that day you register, it has started generating penalty and interest if you don't go back there. Okay. So every month, as you register with them, don't go to sleep. You ask them to teach you how to be doing filing.
That is the tax consultant will teach us how to file on a monthly basis.
Just be filing nil, zero income, zero tax.
Okay.
Yes, to avoid penalty and interest.
Thank you, sir. I also want to ask what about people that are into transportation business?
Transportation
business.
Yes.
Like, full-time and part-time. So how does the tax this thing apply to them also?
Yes, any business you do, maybe you generate, you make income now. You register the business with both Federal Revenue Service and state. If it is business premises, you have obligation for both state, Internal Revenue Service, because that's where you'll be getting your income tax clearance anytime you need clearance. It's from the state. But because of VAT obligation that you need to be filing, it's only Federal Revenue Service that administer value. So you still register with them. Do get it? So you register with both Inland Revenue Service and State Internal Revenue Service. And because it's an individual business, it's state that will give you tax ID.
Okay, but
and now, before now, you are supposed to get 2 tax ID. The state will give you their own for income tax purpose. Then for VAT purpose, Federal Revenue will give you their own. But now they say they don't want all these multiple tax ID. So we don't know how it's going to happen now. FRS, all the tax authorities will now harmonize their system or platform so that you will not have multiple taxpayers' ID. Like I told you, for income tax purpose, since it's an individual, your obligation is to the state. And state will give you ID. Your VAT obligation is to Federal Revenue Service, Nigeria Revenue Service. They too, they have their separate thing. But now they said they want to harmonize so that it will be only one thing. How they want to go about it, January, we will know. Thank you, sir. Nigeria Tax Administration Act 2025. Like I told us, this one is just to tell us the jurisdiction of taxpayers and tax authority. You understand? And penalties for not doing what you are supposed to do. What is the penalty? The objective is facilitate tax compliance by taxpayers, also optimize tax revenue. They want more revenue. Nigeria Tax Administration Act has exclusive responsibility to administer the following taxes: company income tax, all the taxes. You can move on. Every taxable, you see, section 4, 5, and 6, every taxable person, be it individual or corporate, must register and obtain tax ID. You see, it's section 4, 5, and 6. And every ministry, department, agency of the federal, states, local government also now must have tax ID. You know, they don't pay tax. And because of that, they don't get MDAs, they don't have ID, taxpayers identification number before. But it's a must for them now. They too, they must get. Nobody is exempted now. Non-resident person, that's foreigners, that derive revenue from Nigeria other than passive incomes must also register for tax purpose and obtain tax ID. Everybody now, as long as you have what you do that gives you money or income in Nigeria, you must register with the relevant tax authority, Federal Revenue Service, and get your taxpayer's identification number. Yes, use of tax ID. Tax ID must be stated on all correspondence with tax authorities. We have been doing that before now. Tax identification number must be prepared on the document for any transactions. It is a condition for entering into contract with government agencies now. Without tax ID, no government agency will award or will give us contracts. So you can now see the reason why we need to get tax ID now. It will be more than this. Like I told us in Lagos State, there was a time they were asking students to come with their parents' tax clearance certificate. So tax ID must be, insurance, banks, and financial institutions to ensure that every taxable person provides tax ID. So you want to do anything with insurance, with your stockbroker, with any organization now, you must produce your tax ID. So we have to get it. Like I told us, 1st of January, let's go. Even now, you can go to state. If you are individuals, business owners, go to state, go and get your tax ID. It's free. They will give you. If they don't want to create a thing there, that you are the one that says we should get it, issue me. If I go to chairman's office, I know him very well. It's like a brother. Mr. Femi Awakan, go to him. Tell him this is why you are in his office. He will tell you, he will ask you to sit down, he will call officer that will generate it for you. Notification of change in particulars. Within 30 days of the change of your name, your location, that's office address, your phone number, email address, and registered address. You see, all these things are the things that taxpayers need to do. By the time we go further, you will now see penalty for not doing this. This one now is saying within 30 days, if you change address of your business, you have to notify Federal and Nigeria Revenue Service. If you change your email, because for them to generate things for you, one of the criteria is your email, official email, your address, name, registered number, ROC number, all those things. It's 7 in number. So if you change your email, any of those criteria now, you must notify them within 30 days. Otherwise, it's 3 years imprisonment. You will see the penalty now, God forbid. You see them? So that's why all these things, we must not joke with it now. You will see the penalty for not doing it as we move on. Within 30 days of temporary cessation of business, a taxable person must notify relevant tax authority so that the tax ID can be classified as dormant. If a business ceases operation, you notify them also. Taxpayer's ID will be suspended and later deregistered when the taxpayer permanently ceases operation. Before now, any of our clients that want to stop operation, we have to write to the revenue, notify them of the suspension of operation. And if it ceases permanently, so that tax ID will be deregistered, it will not be transferred to another person. The relevant tax authority shall deregister or cancel a tax ID where it is satisfied that a taxable person is deceased, wind up, or dissolved, and if the person to whom a tax ID was issued has another one. So you cannot have two ID, like I said. So it's important. Then a suspended tax ID shall be reissued upon reapplication. So if you, assuming you notify them of the suspension of your operation, maybe for like 2 years, you come back to business, you notify them, that same tax ID you got before will be reissued to you. Every company, including companies that are not liable to tax in Nigeria, all SMEs that says, if my turnover is 100 million, I'm not going to pay tax, or I will pay tax at 0%. He's saying you still need to, you are not exempted from registration with Inland Revenue. That's what this one is. Every company, even companies that are not liable to tax, small businesses, they are not exempted from this. So, and you file your returns. You file your returns, even though you are not paying tax. File nil return, like my colleague said. Make sure you are filing nil. Just be filing it to avoid all this penalty. Where a non-resident company derives profits or is taxable in Nigeria, such companies shall submit a return for the relevant year of assessment. Before now, non-resident individuals or companies that does not have a fixed base in Nigeria. Maybe he's based in UK and is getting money from Nigeria. You don't need to register with FRS. Get your money. Even you don't need to pay unless they are able to track you. But now, they are saying, if all those people that get derived online, digital, this thing, they are expected to register with Federal Revenue Service and be filing returns now. How is that going to be possible? I don't know. In fact, there is a section of this new law that says, Finance Act 2022, that says they must file their accounts. A company in USA that derives income from Nigeria, it doesn't have a fixed base in Nigeria, no permanent establishment that they can trace him to. He said he should be filing. Where will he file? But it's the law. Every taxable person shall file returns, either a resident person, non-resident person that is deriving revenue from Nigeria. Everybody now, as long as you derive revenue in Nigeria, you file your returns, register with FRS and file your returns. Even if you are not making more than 100 million, file your returns so that they will know that, this one is not paying anything. Value-added tax maintain the same rate, 7.5%. That's Section 22 of Nigeria Tax Administration. Return shall be filed on or before 21st day of the month following the month of collection. So if this month now, all the incomes you make by 21st of next month, you must file your VAT returns with Nigerian Revenue Service. Small companies with 0 to 50 million revenue, I told us that they said this one is a mistake. They will change it. By January, there is going to be Finance Act that will be released. So I think they promised that they will change it to 100 million. So it's 100 million they intended to put there. So if your income is not up to 100 million, you are not to pay tax, or you pay tax at 0%. Small company may opt out of the exemption to collect value-added tax with a written letter to the service. Even it's not, this one I don't think is correct. You are expected, whether you are exempted from, you are a small business, you are still to register with FRS and be filing your returns. Once a business is no more a small company, then you shall be filing VAT returns. I asked this question from the tax controller recently when she came to do a presentation. The law says small businesses that are exempted from tax, they are to file income tax returns and not file value-added tax returns. She could not answer. Because this is where the revenue will wait for small businesses. Why are you not filing? How will I know that you are not supposed to pay? But it's the law. So then, use of technology, e-invoicing, I mentioned the other time, that now they want to, is large taxpayers, businesses from 5 billion upward, that they are asking to key into this e-invoicing this year. Probably before mid of next year, every taxpayer every business owner, we have to key into this thing now. E-invoice, I told us, every invoice you issue now, FRS is capturing it. All invoice you issue as a business owner every day. As you are issuing it, there is a platform they expect everybody to. So as you are issuing it, they have seen it, real time. So you can't tell them at the end of the month when you want to file your VAT that it's 20 invoices you raise this month, whereas it's 100 FRS captured. Yes, sir. The thing is, you see, those ones, they categorize them as informal. There is a way they want. There's one tax some states came up with. In fact, it's in this new law. I'll look for the section. They call it presumptive tax. Presumptive tax is tax that they levy or they impose on all informal sectors. They will just look at you, and instead of you to be filing returns the way businesses in formal sectors are filing, your own case, they will just go to Agbeni Market and meet with their union and say, all your members should be paying 1 million naira every month. You cannot say no. So, as a group. Yes. Because so they categorize them as informal.
Because we are talking of a woman sitting
that's why I said
billion naira business.
You see, that's why I say it's you and I that are, you understand, in the formal sector that they've already captured, that they are nothing wrong.
Those farmers in our local government area, are they captured?
They are not. So our informal sector, there is a flat tax they will be collecting from them. The category informal sector, the presumptive tax, through their union. So the union chairman, please, all your members, if you have 500 members, 1,000 members, tell them they must be paying at least 1 million naira every month as tax. Yes, union. Any other questions? Okay.
Sir, please, those small companies you were talking about that won't be taxed, that is 100 million and below.
And below, yeah.
Is it both? Is it the profit? Is it if they make profit of 100 million, or both expenditure?
No, it's income, turnover. It's the turnover.
All the
sales made.
What if the profit on it is like 3 million? But if they make more than 100 million, if they make 120 million, and the profit on it is 5 million or 10 million.
It's not, they are not the Lord is not talking about the profits now. You see, the thing is, if you want to talk about the profit, we have some companies that that generate 20 billion. At the end of the day, it's loss they still declare. And they still collect money from them. That's what they call minimum tax. So it's not about profit, it's about income. If your income is 100 million and below, you are paying tax at 0%. But if it is 101 million, your income, whether the profit is 0, you will pay tax. But the thing is, there is a way to compute the tax, like I told us. You may not understand if I begin to tell you now. Your expenses, all the expenses you have deducted to arrive at that to arrive at that 3 million profit that you are claiming, from 100 million turnover. Some of the expenses that you have deducted, they will add it back. They will disallow it. And now you now realize that your profits, by the time they compute their own tax, will be more than 20 million. Some of those expenses you are claiming that they are deductible. They are not. They will add it back.
Please, sir, in order to come behind her or through her question.
Yes.
you run a school or an extramural, and students pay to your account, would that be seen as an income?
No, educational income is not taxable. Anything educational, but register, yes. Anything educational, we have. I think we mentioned it. Anything educational, unless they discover that you have other businesses that you are doing that apart from that educational, they will scrutinize. They will check to be sure that you are not making extra income apart from educational. Even interest, if you have one savings that you receive interest on it, that interest is not part of the educational income. That interest will suffer withholding tax.
Sir, you are talking about the threshold for company.
Yes.
100 million and below. What about for individual accounts? My account, what is the threshold that I will not be taxed? What should be my turnover in a year on my personal account that is not taxable?
Your personal account?
Yes.
Where is the money coming from into that personal account? You are saying personal account. Is it coming from heaven? You just enter the account.
No.
That's what they want to know.
If I don't operate with any name, it is just my personal name that I'm using.
Where was that? From where are you making that money from?
Sir, it's a pastor.
Okay.
Let us assume that he's blessed.
Okay.
Somebody blessing with 5 million.
Gift is.
I'm coming, sir.
Gift is not taxable.
And how will the FIRS know that money that is coming to his account is a gift? Now, will he now go to FIRS to prove that he's a pastor? Will there be certificate of authentication?
Okay.
So how does he go about it? I know he's trying to.
Okay. Yes. You need to get proof. If as a pastor, at least you have your ordination something certificate or yes, I'm a pastor. People bless me. You understand? With this money, and they'll be able to trace it. But if you cannot explain, you don't have anything to prove. Honestly, they will collect tax. They will collect tax on it. There is this CIBN, Charter Institute of Bankers. So someone asked a question. He said, "Okay, I God bless me. I sent my son to USA to go and school in USA, and he's graduated. He started working. He now look at me, Daddy. You have done a lot. You have tried. He sent me $10,000. Then you understand? So, and government is now saying they want to tax money. I said that's a gift, as long as you can explain the source. Gift is 100% tax exempt. But you must be able to explain, not with mouth. I told us they rely solely on documentary evidence, not on verbal evidence. Yes, and you explain. Yes, now, gift. Honestly, that's the only way. Otherwise, these people will be collecting tax from money that is not supposed to be subject to tax. And it will be painful. So, taxable persons enjoying tax incentive other than those available to all taxpayers shall file annual tax incentive returns. Sir, the agricultural business that says within the first 5 years, they are exempted from tax. You see it. It says all taxable persons enjoy tax incentive because this is where you come you enjoy tax incentive. Priority sector. The law is still saying you shall file your annual tax incentive returns. So don't say because you are exempted the next 5 years, you will not file. You still need to file. Yes. So it's the law. No, it's annual, that's income tax. It's value-added tax that is monthly or withholding tax. So every person who has an obligation to deduct and remit tax under this act or any other tax law shall render monthly returns. You see, this is withholding tax. If you deduct withholding tax from any vendor, you have to remit it. Otherwise, we will get to the penalty for not remitting it. In fact, the law says the whole withholding tax amount plus penalty and interest, you have to be paid, or 3 years imprisonment. So these are withholding tax deduction and value-added tax self-charge or reverse VAT. Reverse VAT is talking about people that engage vendors to supply them anything, or service providers to provide service for them. But those people did not charge VAT when they are invoicing you. The law says you that consume the service or the goods they supply to you, as determine how much VAT they are supposed to charge you. Charge yourself, self-charge, and remit to FRS. If you ask me to supply you goods now, the law says I should VAT my invoice before I issue it to you. 7.5% must be included in my invoice. But I just decided not to VAT my invoice and I issue it to you. The law says, as long as you enjoy the service, my service, and you don't pay VAT to me, self-charge yourself, that 7.5%, and remit to Nigeria Revenue Service.
I refuse to self-charge myself. And they now discover who will pay that VAT.
Is you. Because you have option. You have a choice. You are not supposed to consume my service. If I don't VAT, you tell me, it's the law. If you know you cannot charge VAT, let me look for another person to provide service that will charge. Because do you know why? Value-added tax and withholding tax, revenue, they frown at it very well. If they come to you to check your record and they discover that you have not deducted withholding tax and you have not the VAT charge you have not paid. They don't like it. Why? Because you are not the one paying. You are just an agent of collection. That withholding tax, they said you should help them to deduct withholding tax from the vendor that come to you. But you fail to do so. So they don't like it. They frown at it they don't like it. They will collect it with penalty and interest from you.
Sir, what if they charge you for value-added tax, but they didn't remit it to FIRS?
No, they charge you.
Yes, they deduct it, but they didn't remit
you know
it.
they charge you as okay. That person did not remit it.
Yes.
So he's the one that has the issue. Then you pay. You have proof that you paid it, and you are free. They will pursue him. So, Section 29. I told us about Section 29 of Nigeria Tax Administration Act the other time. They said banks, insurance company, stockbrokers to disclose information. They shall disclose the name, address of new customer, existing customer in the case of individual, all transactions where the cumulative transaction in a month amount to 25 million naira or more. Or body corporate, that's company. All transactions where the cumulative transaction in a month amount to 100 million. So, you see, no hiding place again. So, but the thing is, the only hiding place is like you ask, document. Either Oluwole document or Oluyole document. Honestly, that's the only thing. They will not go to where you get it from to verify. Questions?
Thank you, sir. You have taught us tax compliance. I want you to give us tips on tax evasion now. I'm not saying avoidance. So. For example, I heard it from somebody that if you have probably like 2-3 streams of income, the best thing to do is to register those 3 businesses separately. That's a tip. Now, as a tax consultant now, do you have any other tips on how to evade tax? Or please give us tips.
I'm coming. tax, don't use the word evade, because tax evasion is criminal. We have two tax, we have tax avoidance and tax evasion. Tax evasion is criminal anywhere in the world. But tax avoidance is legitimate, is legal. If you take advantage of the loopholes in the law, in the tax laws, to maneuver, you understand, to plan your tax very well, you understand, you can do that. Like you said, that's what people plan to be doing now. You know, the law says 100 million. We have some SMEs that are generating 200 million, 300 million, even a billion. And they call themselves SME. Maybe it's even enterprise, not limited liability company. And now, that means you have to be paying tax once it is above 100 million, like you said. So, someone said you can incorporate several business names so that huge income you make or you want to record for one company, you split it for various business enterprise so that you not pay income tax. But like I told you, it's only VAT you will be paying. You don't income tax, you pay it to state. Of course, you pay it to state. And states, the State Internal Revenue Service, they are not as difficult as federal for now. We know how, you understand?
But if you split your registration,
yes, sir.
In so many, will the NIN not match them?
That's another issue. Because now they want to use your NIN, and you don't have two NIN. It's the same and the same account. Or even if you open different account for them, it's the same NIN. Or you want to be using different, you use different names and different NIN. God bless you, sir.
On its own. So when you said you are ABC Ventures here, you are ADC Business Enterprises here, so they will be dealing with each companies separately. Now, if that company now, your turnover is now more than the threshold of 100, there is no escape. You have to do the normal thing. So because it will grow to that level, they know that if you run from this side, they will still get you in another way. So, but the only thing is that we should do the normal thing and fight.
That's the thing. Just pay. Like I told you, since they are business names and individual, states, just look for a consultant. Consultant knows how to help you to, I'm telling you.
Hello,
you
sir.
Don't need to, yes. Like a lawyer will say, don't get mad, get a lawyer.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
See, I believe the consultant will not be too overwhelmed by the number of people that will be running after them now.
Consultant, we need more money. We need more money.
Now, to my question. We have been talking about businesses. Personal tax.
Okay.
And business.
Yes.
You run a business. You are also a personal person. You pay separately. Your business pays separately. That's what is going to happen. Now, you register with a team. You have a personal thing, right? And you have a thing for your business.
Like we said, with this new law,
yes,
you can only have one for personal and business now.
Business.
Yes.
Okay.
It's only one this thing you have.
Okay.
Taxpayer's ID.
Okay. Now,
because it has to do with your NIN of a thing. You cannot have two now.
So they cannot separate you from your business.
Yes. It's not that you cannot have separate accounts. Okay. You understand? But it's going to be one now.
Okay.
That does not stop you from having personal accounts.
And it's not going to be
as long as you have someone can send you money now. It's not for business now. It's your personal money. So that one can go to personal account.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think you understand, sir.
Yes.
So that doesn't stop you from having your personal account. So we should be careful with this one now. It's only with documentary evidence that you can escape revenue from coming to you on this. You are getting money. We pray we'll get more money. 100 million in a month. Revenue will be informed by your banker. I have a client who, since the law says I should be telling you, this month, the money that enter his account is close to 100 million. They will say, okay, thank you. What is the tax ID? They send you mail, they send you letter inviting you to their office. So to come and explain. So I told us evidence. That's the only thing you can use. You can't just go to them and be telling them verbally, it's my money. What's your business? They will tell you, we have stake in that money, 30%. So, next slide. Any person who enters or intends to enter into any transaction or agreement whose principal purpose is a benefit which enables a tax advantage shall, without notice or request, provide to the Revenue Tax Authority information relating to that. You see what I just told us now on tax avoidance that is legal. Revenue still want to know again that whenever a consultant is doing tax planning for you, it is not for your consumption alone. They want to know what he's doing for you. You can see. So they want to know everything about taxpayer now. Any person that enters or intends to enter into any transaction or agreement whose principal purpose is a benefit that enables a tax advantage, that's tax avoidance. You must still inform them. They say provide to the relevant tax authority information related to. You see, they want to know everything now. They want to know everything. So the next one. For the purposes of duly filed annual returns, taxpayer may represent itself, represented by accredited tax agent. That's consultant. So if you know you cannot do it yourself, get a tax consultant. Represented by, tax returns must be accompanied by a declaration or attestation. Taxpayer itself that the information supply is true or complete. So you can get a tax consultant. He's allowed. Is allowed if you know you cannot handle these things yourself. So that you don't, because if I dare to, they will always, if you go to them, they will advise you to go and get a consultant. Because they know that if they begin to be telling you all these things, you will not understand the language. So it's the tax consultant that will understand their language. So, and we don't charge too much. We don't charge too much. Honestly, we don't charge too much. The next one, No, that one is personal. The tax authority may make assessment if the following occur. If the business produce no accessible profit, this is minimum tax. Because the thing is, businesses have been thinking that there is no minimum tax again. This is still minimum tax. But now, we don't know before now, the minimum tax for limited liability company, if you don't have taxable income, is how much? 0.5% of your turnover. Of your gross turnover. But now, this law is saying the minimum tax will now be computed by Nigeria Revenue Service based on the profit margin. So what now constitutes profit margin? We don't know. So taxpayer is at the mercy of the tax authority. Profit margin, how much is the profit margin they want to use now to compute minimum tax for me? God will help us. Maybe January we will know. So, the next slide. Taxes listed below shall be assessed in currency of transaction. Value added tax, if it's dollar you earn, you file your returns in dollar. Withholding tax, royalties, company income tax is in the currency of the transaction. Not that you earn dollar, you want to convert to naira and say you will file your returns in naira. Revenue, if they get to know, there is penalty for that. So revision of assessment in case of objection. This one, if you have any issue, you have right to appeal to the tax appeal tribunal. And now they've introduced what they call ombudsman. You know, in those days, there is what the office of ombudsman. That's like tax appeal tribunal for individuals like us that may not be able to engage a lawyer to to defend us at the tax appeal tribunal. You can approach a tax ombudsman. I think last month, President Tinubu appointed the ombudsman for Nigeria, one Igbo man like this. So you can go to their office. They will have office in all the states now. So for individuals that probably does not have the wherewithal to engage a lawyer to go to court or tax appeal tribunal to defend him, you can approach the ombudsman. Just tell them. So they are like arbiter between the taxpayer and the tax authority. If you have issue with tax authority and they are making things difficult for you, you just go to the ombudsman, you explain to him, he will take it up, and the issues will be resolved favorably. So that's what this one is saying. The next one. So at the point of payment, I want us to move to, we can read this ourselves, to maybe the penalty, where we have those penalty. You can go to maybe section, okay, I think this. Penalty on any tax not paid within the period prescribed by relevant tax remains 10%. Okay. The interest at the CBN rate. Then move on. You can move on. So now, penalty and interest. Section 100. Failure to register with either states or federal, with Federal Revenue Service. The law says every individual or business owner must register with FRS. If you fail to register, the penalty is 50% for the first month of failure. Then subsequent months, 25%. In which 50,000. Then awarding contract to an unregistered person attracts 5 million naira penalty. If you engage a vendor that does not have tax ID, and they get to know, yes, I said the other time, the penalty is 5 million naira. Oh yeah, move on. Okay, refusal to grant access to Nigeria Revenue Service official or for deployment of technology after 30 days of notice shall attract 1 million naira for the first day. This e-invoicing of 18 that I said, like taxpayers, they have registered, they have asked to key into 1st of November this year. Failure to key into it is 1 million naira for the first day. Then 10,000 naira for each subsequent days. You see the penalty now. That's what they want to, create this, fear. So that everybody will be rushing to go to FRS to register, to get tax ID. And once you do that, you are already in their tax net. They will be monitoring you as your business is growing. They too, they are interested in it. All manner of, you understand? That's all they want to do with this new tax law. They want more people to be drafted into the tax net. So failure to process taxable supply through the fiscalization policy attracts penalty of 200,000. Then 100% of the tax due. That's for that if invoicing. Failure to collect or deduct withholding tax under the relevant tax law shall attract 40% of the amount to collect or to be collected, deducted, and withheld. A vendor supplies you or provides you a service, but you fail to deduct withholding tax in line with the provisions of the law. The law says the penalty is 1 million naira. I think we should be able to read this ourselves. Yes, we can read this one ourselves. So, Nigeria Tax Administration Act is about your rights, your obligations, the obligation of the revenue, and failure to do that, it attracts penalty and interest. That's all about Nigeria Tax Administration Act. Then the next one is Nigeria Revenue Establishment Act. I told us it's about their operation. Who is going to be the chairman? How many executive directors will Nigeria Revenue Service? That's all Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment is about. Then the last one is Joint Revenue Board. So it's a kind of board that, ensures there is a robust collaboration between Nigeria Revenue Service and all the states' internal revenue service. Joint Revenue Board. Before now, it used to be Joint Tax Board. But now they changed it to Joint Revenue Board Establishment Act. That's all about. Thank you, sir. Questions, sir?
Something just caught my attention now on the slide for about foreign currency coming into your account or in Nigeria. For those of us in the academia, we know that we normally have, sometimes we have grants and they come in foreign currency.
Okay.
So
grants?
Yes, sir. Yes. Grants for educational purposes anyway, for research and the likes. Sometimes they come to personal accounts, but those ones that come to personal account normally go through CBA, IBAN, and all the likes. But at times, if they have an account, if the grant body has an account that they opened, it will go to their account. So now that tax will be paid on foreign currency coming in. So that's, I'm wondering, like...
No, tax will not be paid on foreign currency.
They paid in foreign currency, rather.
No. Okay, we'll be paid in foreign
yes,
currency.
Sir.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but so grant is tax. It's not... Do you pay tax on grant?
I'm wondering. So we don't pay tax.
No.
Normally.
Grant.
But the difference is this. Some come into the body through the account of the body that is regulating the grant, that is disbursing the grant.
No, so long as it's grant. Regardless of the channels.
There's another one now. We want to pay into individual accounts at times. Like, I have a friend that just concluded a residency recently. And they were paid, some were paid like $2,000 for coming for the residency. Some were paid less than that. But it was paid to their personal accounts. They asked them to open accounts in dollars, and then the money was paid into their account that way. So I'm wondering, since it's now bearing their name, will it not be taxed?
See, passive income, I read it, if you follow me. I said passive income, if any foreign income that is passive in nature. When they say passive, that's like interest, royalty, grant, as long as it comes in through the appropriate channel, it will not be subject to tax. They are all tax free. They are all tax free. Thank you.
We thank you very much, sir, for your time and everything you have given unto us today. We really appreciate you, sir. And I'm sure that every one of us here, we have benefited so much, greatly from all what he explained to us. I'm sure we'll get to know more as it unveils, just like he said also in the new year. May the Lord help us all. At this junction, because our time is fast spent, we planned that we will only spend 1 hour, but we have exceeded our time. Maybe because of that, we might need to just call Pastor Ayonitemi to just give us a closing prayer while we end up the whole program for today. Thank you very much for your time.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this moment. Thank you for the privilege to be here. Accept our thanks in Jesus' name. Father, we pray that you will help us even to be better at what we are doing in the name of Jesus. Regardless of how much we want to evade the tax, we still want you to bless us financially in the mighty name of Jesus. We want you to bless us in such a way that to pay the tax will not be inconvenient to us in the mighty name of Jesus. The Bible says that you will eat in plenty and be satisfied. We ask for abundance financially for every member of WCCI. We receive in the mighty name of Jesus. You said in your word that you will give us the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places. We receive this evening in the mighty name of Jesus. For your son that you have used for us, we pray that you continue to bless him with more and more wisdom in the mighty name of Jesus. Thank you because you have answered us. In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed.